Mike, good morning, my friend. How are you?
Morning, Sean. Very well. Are you?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good, thank
Good.
you. I firstly just want to start by saying thank you. I know that you have a boatload of clients now, so carving out some time to do this means a lot. So just manage expectations in terms of the next kind of 20, 30 minutes. I just want to kind of be very honest and transparent, and I want you to kind of share your journey over the last 6 months of working with us in the hope that somebody sees this and yeah, it inspires them to take action, whether they hire me or hire somebody else to get their coaching business up off the ground, then yeah, it'll be time well spent. But before we do that, Mike, I would just love it if you could, yeah, introduce yourself, let everybody know who you are and who you help.
Yeah, my name's Mike Longthorne. I'm an alcohol-free performance coach. So I help people, especially introverts that are struggling with social situations and they want to understand how to be themselves, how to be more aligned in those situations. And really, anybody who wants to remove alcohol and get the best out of their life and see the difference that it makes when alcohol's removed.
Absolutely. And yeah, you've been helping a lot of people over the last 6 months. So let's cast your mind back to when we first started working together. You and I were kind of going back and forth on socials. But yeah, I'd love you to kind of paint a picture as to what your biggest challenges or problems were before you actually started working with us.
Yeah, I think my biggest challenges and problems were quite a classic one, really, the amount of clients that I had. And I just didn't feel like I was getting enough new clients on board. I think when we started to work together, I think I had two, but then it dropped down. I just finished with one, so I dropped back down to one.
Mhm.
And I was kind of, I know you'd reached out to me in February and I'd started to watch some of the video testimonials and I'm thinking, this is too good to be true. And I kind of like just like palmed you off a little bit, but I thought something that I just need to kind of keep in touch with this guy. And I'd just come off a training course, which had cost a fair bit of money as well. So I just thought I need to consolidate this stuff. And and yeah, I wanted to get to a point because I'm in a situation where I'm moving at the minute and I'm mortgage free, but I'm having to then put a mortgage together. So my business is like 2 years old, but I needed to see some performance behind those numbers so I could get the mortgage that I needed. So I ended up kind of a bit of a back to the wall moment, thinking I need some help. I need to get my business to kind of 4.5K a month because that's kind of more than it needed to, but that's kind of where I wanted to be.
Mhm.
And I thought the only chance I've seen all these numbers that I'm hearing through the Elite Coaching Academy, and I thought this guy might have kind of an answer for me. So that's where I was. The pain was really there, and that's what kind of opened up the conversation to talk to you and ask you, is that possible?
Mhm. Yeah, and I remember we went back and forth for quite some time on Instagram. And yeah, like you just mentioned, you kind of not palmed me off, but were very much like, yeah, I'm just cracking on, trying to kind of muddle through and whatnot.
Mm.
So it kind of brings me to the next question, really, then. What was it that kind of prompted you to decide to work with me?
Yeah, so on the actual call and discovery call that we had, I was really kind of there's a couple of things really. I was really impressed with the way you sold your program in a way that was all about helping people, really ethical and exactly what I need to do. So very much a model from what I wanted to be, and I saw instant inspiration from that, and kind of working with somebody who's quite a bit younger as well and just seeing a slight difference in marketing and the way sales it's changed, Um, yeah, there's like, I think you 33, Sean, there's like 17 years between us. So yeah, there's quite a difference. And I found that a real benefit of that. And as we spoke on the call, I just thought, if I need this, I absolutely need this because I'm not getting anywhere where I am. Everything that I say I'm struggling with, Sean's saying, yeah, we've done this with this person, we've done this with this person, and mentioning names where he's seen success. And it just made so much sense. Having seen the video testimonials as well, I thought maybe this is true. But still, when I joined, I was kind of thinking, I think I was kind of 90% sure that this is the thing. But I just wanted to make sure and just like really knuckle down and get the work done and just listen to what you have to say. But I think that's what kind of really drew me in was the whole kind of the way I think some people have said kind of call it hustle. It's like a really ethical sales way of kind of working with clients and something that I've certainly taken on with my clients and how I take them on board as well.
Mm-hmm. No, thank you for sharing that as well, because there's plenty of other coaches out there that you could have hired, and the fact that you decided to kind of take, the leap with me, like means a ton. And I can say this, and I've said this so many times, but I want it on record. Like, you were a great client to work with because you were just somebody that you would come with a question, I would give you the guidance, the coaching, the mentorship, the support, and you would go and implement. There was no kind of if, buts, and maybes. There was no, oh, what about this? What about this? You're like, cool, no worries, thanks for that, I'll do that. And you started seeing results. And obviously, I started sharing bits and pieces and you started seeing results. So then every other time that you came to me with questions and, support and, a bit of confusion, I would then share what you need to do at that stage. And because you've already seen the results from my previous feedback, you just go away and execute. So
Mm,
I've said this to you before, but it was a pleasure working with you because those are the types of clients that get the best results. The ones that are like, okay, you're already ahead, you're already doing what I want to be doing, you already have the results I want. Just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And I always remember, and I'm facing my back garden, and I'd often be in the back garden watering the plants, and I'd get a voice note from you, and you'd be like, "Hey, Sean, this is what's happened. What would you do?" And I'd leave you a 3, 4, 5 minute voice note, like,
mm,
"This is how you need to handle it next time," and you're
mm.
like, "Perfect," and then you would
Yeah,
go and
I'm
execute.
glad you said that because, yeah, of course, that was one of the main reasons. I think we was on that call. It was like, I need a mentor. I need somebody that's going to show me the way. So I'm glad you said that because that was exactly it. And he was like, yeah. And I was kind of joining this program thinking, are you still hands on? And he's like, yeah, I'm still hands on. I will be looking after you if needs be. And so I really I felt like I was almost taking the nick a bit. But yeah, I was literally in that first month, voice noting you every day on the dog walks. And it was great because I think that was part of my challenge as well, is that it was so overwhelming. Like, what do I do next? Where do I go? Where do I focus my energy? And whenever I had the overwhelm, I just reached out to you and you kind of brought me back down and said, look, this is what you need to do next.
Yeah.
And that was incredibly useful. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's it. I get the uncertainty around. Hang on, is the founder actually hands on? Because there's
Mm,
hundreds of coaches out there, and they operate their coaching business very differently. But I enjoy it. I enjoy being in the trenches with everybody and be like, okay, this is what you need to do. Go ahead and try this.
mm,
Otherwise, for me, I guess I would just be building a business for the wrong reasons because I got into coaching because I like helping people and it's important to me. So for me to build a business and then not actually be able to directly help the people, yeah,
mm.
I'd be building something that, I wouldn't be happy with really. So talk to me about the first few weeks in the program. Then you just mentioned then you were constantly kind of reaching out, which was great. What were your initial thoughts or feelings, yeah, kind of within the first 4, 6 weeks of the program?
Yeah, well, the first section, the self-sabotage, I found really useful. Kind of understanding what my own cognitive distortions are, and I guess breaking it down to more simple language for people that are watching this. But that's like errors in thinking. So my classics were catastrophizing and maybe mind reading. So when something happened, I'd probably make the worst out of it. And if I was thinking somebody was thinking something about me, I'd kind of go down a bit of a spiral.
Hmm.
And I kind of knew about that having studied sort of counselling for 4 years. But you broke it down into such a layman's way of understanding it that it was incredibly helpful for me. And we had like a week exercise of kind of spotting those cognitive distortions. And it's really kind of stuck with me about because I don't think they're ever going to go away, but being aware of them is an area where we can then kind of just have that space between and think, actually, I'm doing that again. And I'm saying that because it's incredibly useful to understand that sabotaging part when
Hmm.
you're going into a program like yours. And then you kind of, as I said before, you're kind of overwhelmed by stuff. You've got to kind of keep your feet on the ground and understand what kind of errors in thinking are gonna push you in the wrong direction. So that was the first really impressive part. And then when I jumped inside the actual program to get amongst the business side of stuff, and the actual, I guess we're straight in the on the Slack community straight away. And on the Slack community, it's amazing to see the wins and being surrounded by people that are just smashing out of the park all the time. And a really interesting thing happens because I joined the program and I see all these people helping these people and doing great numbers and helping themselves. And then all of a sudden, 5 or 6 weeks into it, you're one of those. And I know that happens because it happened to me and the people that I've referred, it's happening to them. It's
Yeah.
amazing. It's awesome to see. Yeah. It's really
Yeah.
cool.
No, it's
So those are the first big things is like the self-sabotage is awesome. And then inside the Slack community and being surrounded by, yes, it's a virtual community, but there's still a lot of power in that. Being surrounded with a community that's absolutely smashing it out of the park and
yeah.
knowing that this stuff's possible. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that because people often come into a program, they see the results like you've mentioned and think, can that really happen for me?
Mm.
A few weeks in, they're like, okay, booked my first call or got my first client, or I've had leads coming through. So yeah, no, it made me smile as you just
Mm.
seen. So thanks for sharing. Okay, so let's you've been with us now for the 6 months. Your goal was obviously to kind of get to 4.5K. You've also just mentioned you've kind of referred people over. So talk to me about the results. What kind of breakthroughs have you had since starting the program? And did you manage to get to the 4.5K consistent months?
Hold it 1 second there. My battery is unplugged. I'm just going to plug it in. Sorry about this, Therese.
That's okay, no worries.
Yeah, I just saw the battery going down then, John. I thought I'm going to ruin your testimonial. No, basically, yeah, great question. And did I get to the 4.5K? Yes, I did. Consistently, slightly above that for a couple of months at 5K, a little bit below last month at 4.2. And yeah, I'm kind of on track to get to 5K this month. I'm pretty sure I will do. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I will do. So yeah, it's amazing. And it's incredible really to think that because I remember you saying, yeah, we can do that, no problem. And I just thought I've just got to listen to this guy right through and just do exactly what he says. I think there was George in your program that's saying just do what he says, and I was like, yeah, just do what he says. And
Yeah.
it's so true because I think having that mentor piece and somebody that's um, kind of got through these challenges is so invaluable, and especially something like Instagram,
Hmm.
because there's a lot of kind of nuance in the way that the whole thing works, and to understand that more deeply and how to get the best out of working on Instagram is, yeah, it's kind of a game changer for me. Yeah. So yeah, I hit the targets, I've exceeded the targets, and I can imagine that's just gonna get better. Yeah.
Yeah. And you also mentioned before that you have referred a few people over. So yeah, talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I've referred, I think, 6 people over now, and it is about knowing that I can help these people. I mean, one of the people that I helped referred over is an old business partner of mine, and yeah, and I see these people that I've referred over, and I see them starting to do the results as well, and
Hmm.
it's great to see, and yeah, it's something that I really believe in, Sean, which is why I do refer a lot of people over to the program, and I think it's because it kind of it sort of I don't know. It sort of scratches something within me, knowing the pain that I was going through and thinking, this is impossible on Instagram. How am I going to crack this? Because it just seems really slow, like walking through sand.
Hmm.
But then when you get the right systems in place, the goals become really achievable, as I've just stated.
Yeah.
And you've got the right systems, and it's like working with that. And yeah, there are different niches that I've referred over as well, and yeah, they're all doing well because it's the same sort of process that we work
Hmm.
within any helping profession, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I tell people all the time the niche is irrelevant as long
Mm,
as you're, within the coaching space. Because what we teach, as you know, is the client acquisition using social media. So
mm,
yeah, the niche doesn't matter too much. You see people in the program, career coaches, sober coaches, life coaches, business coaches, fitness coaches. It doesn't really matter. So yeah, 6 people I think you've referred over, and that
mm,
speaks volumes as to how valuable you've found the program. You also mentioned earlier on about kind of the target that you needed to hit because of obviously the mortgage and those kind of bits and pieces. How would you say the program has kind of impacted you outside of the business?
mm.
Has it impacted you outside of the business in your personal life?
Yeah, it's a great question, Sean. I think it has, because it's easy to gloss that on everything. No, it hasn't, but it has because I went through bankruptcy in 2019 with a business that I'd had for 12 years, um, which hurt quite a lot. And you always get this black mark of a bankruptcy, and we kind of, without going into details about it, we was in invoice financing because we were scaling the business really quickly, so we lent a lot of money for banks. So it's the banks that we let down, and I always have this thing that was RBS in particular that were let down, and they were the ones that got bailed out. But anyway, that's kind of something in the past.
Hmm.
But it did hurt. It hurt going bankrupt, and I guess the confidence of can I do this again? Can I build another business? Albeit there was 3 of us last time, and it was probably my ex-wife that put a lot of the effort into building that business.
Hmm.
But I did play my part 100%, and I thought, can I do this on my own for one, and can I do it again? And yeah, going through that self-sabotage and then understanding kind of yeah, it's possible. And you know what? It really is so important to have a mentor because it's kind of that person that you can lean on that's done there, just done it, been there,
Hmm.
been through the challenges, and can offer advice and guidance at those points.
Yeah.
when ultimately it can just become a little bit too psychologically difficult to move forward. So personally, it affected me in my belief of what I can do, 100%.
Mm.
Yeah, in the belief that I can do this, and that cascades into other areas of your life as well.
Yeah, it's very fitting that you mentioned that because you would have heard me say plenty of times throughout the last 6 months, like running a coaching business is simple, complicated by the human brain. You know,
Mm,
so many people are just stuck on what to do because there's so many different avenues that because they're so overwhelmed with options, they often don't do anything because the
mm,
brain's like, oh, what if we get it wrong? What if this is the wrong choice? So yeah,
mm.
it's very, very fitting. I constantly bang that drum and I will continue to bang that drum. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. When you obviously started with us, how quickly did you start to see some results?
Yeah, it was quite quickly actually. I think if I remember rightly, it was within the first month. I got maybe a few clients on, two or three clients, and that was before I started putting the ad out. And I reflect on why that happened, and I'm not entirely sure. I know you've got a really good content plan, which is based on your own success, and maybe it's something like that. And maybe I've moved away from that a little bit.
Mhm.
So it might be an idea of bringing that back again. But yeah, I did without actually advertising, which is really interesting. But as soon as I started the ads, then because it was, yeah, the first 4 weeks, and then I had this 50th birthday celebration. So June was kind of a little bit patchy because I had a lot of socials involved,
Mhm.
and I was away a couple of times. So I wasn't as focused on the business. So there wasn't really much went on in June. But then when I got into July, more consistent again, started running the ads. It was really consistent, and there was then a consistent flow of clients. And that was the thing. It wasn't so much about how many clients I was getting, it was more about consistent flow because I wanted to create a sustainable business, which I believe I have now because I've had month on month on month on month, and knowing there's a system that I can use to hit the goal. So it's just like reverse engineering, and I know what I need to do. Those numbers need to be to get those numbers clients on board now,
Yeah.
which is exactly what I wanted. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
amazing. And I love that as well because once you start seeing the system in action, then you start to realize, okay, it's just a simple game of kind of maths. Like if I
Mm,
want to have X amount of clients, I need to do X amount of, actions. So
yeah.
yeah, I love that because a lot of the time, again, you would have hear me say plenty of times, we either have a kind of a mindset problem or it's a mathematical problem. And a lot of the
Mm,
time, people have the mindset problems because
mm,
when you have the system dialed in, it's okay. We just need to do X in order to get Y. So yeah, thank you
yeah.
for unpacking that. Okay, so in terms of yourself, you've mentioned you've kind of done other you did a training program
Mm.
before this. What kind of has made this program different to anything else that you've perhaps tried?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, great question. The program I went on before was Andy Ramage's diploma
Mhm.
in positive psychology and coaching with alcohol-free performance coaching as well. And he's brilliant. He's great. He was, although we had it was more of an academic-based system. So it was teaching the skills of coaching and then the theory behind positive psychology. And it was great. And we had kind of chats with regards to kind of the content. And based on the fact that it was the same cost as what the same investment as what your program was. There was no real one-to-one contact with Andy. As nice a guy as he is, and as great as a teacher he is, um, there was no kind of mentor piece. He had the small marketing module at the end, which I thought I knew something about marketing in this day and age when I watched it, but then getting on your program, it's night and day, absolute night and day. I did a 2 year course through Bangor University for my counselling as well, which is all academic, and then that was placement as well. So it's really different. And
Yeah.
this course is funny because if ever I see new coaches coming about now, there is an amount of skill intrinsic to a person, I think, when it comes into a helping relationship, and then there's that managing the conversation. And depending on whereabouts they are, I just say to people, look, just you don't need to spend as much on the coaching training. If you're short of cash, then make sure it's triple accredited, something like that.
Mhm.
And it looks pretty good on the surface, but you don't have to spend a fortune. Spend the money on building your business because without a business, you've got nothing. So I would say that before. Not that I regret doing Andy's course. I think it was great.
Mhm.
Um, but I think had I done it again, I probably wouldn't have spent the money on that coaching. I would have spent the money on the actual business side of the coaching, but I spent it
Yeah.
on both. And to be fair, it's fine now. But yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
yeah. No, I appreciate the transparency. I think for me as well, like these huge corporations, the Coaching Academy, Mind Valley, Jay Shetty's kind of accreditation, they all
Mm,
do. Andy Ramage,
mm,
I've heard that they all do a great job of helping you become a coach, which is amazing, and that's what we
mm,
Well, what these kind of programs don't do is teach you how to actually grow the coaching business, how to get
mm,
clients, how to get
mm,
leads, how to, turn those leads into sales and the whole kind of delivery aspect of it. So yeah, I hear this every single day. And, the a lot of the time, what I do find as well, Mike, is so many people will do one certification, and then because of that lack of confidence that you mentioned before, that
mm,
uncertainty, like, is this going to work? They think that the answer is another certification or another kind of, oh, I'll go and do NLP or I'll go and do this life coaching thing
mm,
now. When in actual fact, it's just kind of often, not always, but often a distraction of just doing the thing that needs to be done, and growing the coaching business. So, yeah, I see that all of the time. I'm curious to know, obviously, you've referred a handful of people over. You started kind of getting clients within the first 4 weeks. Was there a moment within the 6 months that kind of it just clicked for you and you thought, okay, I can see how this works now?
yeah, there was. It all backed up onto launching the ad, which up to that point, there's a lot of stuff in the background through the Elite Coaching Academy that needs to be put in place before the ad's launched to make it successful.
Mhm.
But it was actually on launching the ad and working with you over a couple of days. And I was really impressed by, I was like sending an ad over to you. He's like, no, Mike, that's wrong. You want to change this? And I was sending it back and saying, no, I don't like that word. No, I don't like that color. That font needs to be lower. And all this sort of stuff. It was like getting it exactly right based on what success you'd seen in
Mhm.
your coaching program. You want it to do the same for your clients. And he's great, that to and from. I was really impressed with the way, we were sharing that. You wanted this ad to actually crush it, and he absolutely did.
Yeah, it
And
did,
it
didn't
yeah, massively. It got me a huge amount of success. I mean, at one point, it's like it was tracking at like 25p a follower, maybe even less.
Yeah.
And I'm still getting that now at the weekend. It just goes through the roof. And then during the week, it's a little bit less, like 35p.
Mhm.
But yeah, and yeah, it was just that attention to detail that every word needed to be correct. And you wanted to make sure this ad is the best that I could have it. Because had I been on my own, I mean, God knows how long it'd take me to work out the whole thing, but even the ad part and
Mhm.
even knowing the stuff that we need to have in place before we launch an ad, it's like because you've been through that, and again, it's that mentor piece, because you've been through that, it's so easy to call on that experience and understand. And for somebody to say, oh, yeah, well, that needs doing next, that needs doing next. And then seeing your results is like, well, yeah, he knows what he's talking about. And then sure enough, it
Mhm.
works for me. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that very well. And we just done it very recently with Adam as well. And a gentleman
Mm,
you referred over, one of the things he said is, Sean, I just need leads. And I was like, cool, let's go and do the ad. And we did exactly the same. He was sending me bits and pieces. So I was like, no, change that. That's not right. And the way I kind of look at that is, you guys are going to be putting money behind an ad. I want to increase the likelihood that, it's going to work. And I
mm,
remember that one with yourself. I remember the ad and I remember showing it to a few people because it was just crushing for you. And yeah, I think you get a better understanding the more kind of sober coaches I've worked with as to what works and what doesn't. So yeah, I
mm,
wanted to make sure that yeah, it worked for you. And lo and behold, it did, which is fabulous. And
mm,
I think as well, what's important for me when it comes to being a coach is telling your clients what they need to hear rather than kind of what they want to hear. Like I'm
mm,
completely fine, and you know me well enough now. I'm very, very direct, very transparent. And sometimes people are like, "Oh, what about this?" And they're like, "Oh, that they've worked really hard on it." And I'm like, "Yeah, we can't use that." And it's not because I'm being horrible or arrogant. And I like the whole idea of saying what you mean, but without saying
mm.
it mean. Just
Right.
telling the clients because for me, that shortens the time frame as well, rather
Mm,
than, pussyfooting around and beating around the bush, just being like, yeah, we can't use that. So yeah,
mm,
you responded really well to that. And that's why I've always been very direct and transparent with you. Same with George that you mentioned earlier. He's
mm,
literally like, hey, this is what I've done. What are your thoughts? Don't sugarcoat it. Give it me direct. I'll give it to him direct and you'll go and execute similar to yourself. So
mm,
yeah, I think that's a huge part of at least my USP. Someone asked me the other day, like, what makes me different? And I said, I just tell people how it is. And sometimes, for some people, that's not going to work that well. But for other people, they're going to respond just like yourself and everybody else inside of the program. So, when it comes down to kind of telling people what they need to hear, even if it's perhaps not what they want to hear, I'm curious to get your opinion on anybody who's perhaps on the fence, anybody who is thinking, really want to kind of do this, want to invest, want to work with Sean, but I'm just a little scared. What kind of advice would you have for those people?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's almost like looping right back to when I first watched one of the video testimonials you sent through, and hearing people say the reasons why you should do it. And I was in that position of I need some help here, and this person looks like they can do it for me. But I think before the whole self-sabotage and before going through the program, I maybe didn't believe that I could be one of those people that is going to smash it out of the park for one reason or another, maybe past recent history or whatever. But yeah, and it did. So I say that because I can imagine people watching this thinking, but that's not me. I'm not going to be able to do 5K, which, it's like, and that for me, and I don't, it's not about like making a fortune. It's about helping a lot of people.
Mhm.
But I do believe there's a lot more skill to go there as well. And I'll be jumping back on the program for you to help me because I know there's loads of areas that I can improve on. But what would I say to people? I'd say just do it because it works. It absolutely works. And, it's one of the reasons why I've kind of referred so many people because I know it works. But it is that thing, isn't it? People are thinking, well, is this really for me? Is my niche going to fit this
Mhm.
program? And they'll have all these questions, which is effectively self-sabotage, I guess. And I would just say jump on a call because even on that call, you're not going to get pressured. You're going to be told that Sean can help you in this area, or if he can't help you, let you know. And it's just that kind of that idea that somebody's out there that can lead the way for you and get the results that you want to get. I'd say it's not easy. You've got to put the work in. You've got to have the time to put the work in. But if it was easy as to say, everybody would be doing it. And it's not. But when you've got somebody who's got the answers, it makes it a lot easier.
Absolutely. I don't think there'll ever be a time where I don't have my own coach. So yeah, it makes
Yeah,
makes total
yeah,
sense. So thank you for
yeah.
sharing. Mike, where can people find you if they're interested in kind of what you do? And yeah, how can they reach you?
Yeah, thanks, Sean. They can reach me at the alcohol free introvert, which is the underscore alcohol free underscore introvert on Instagram, or alcohol free performance coach on YouTube. And yeah, if people are interested in quitting the booze, then certainly drop me a follow and see my content. Yeah.
Amazing. Mike, I really appreciate your time. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've really enjoyed working with you over the last 6 months, and I know you're taking a couple of months away from the program, and as you just mentioned, rejoining kind of in the new year.
Mm.
But until then, thank you so much, and I look forward to next year.
Awesome. Thanks, Sean.
Cheers.